The salt spray stung my face as I coughed, the acrid taste of lake water coating my tongue. I pushed myself up, the rough, damp sand scraping against my jeans. Disorientation clung to me, like the morning mist swirling around the ramshackle buildings of the little island. Did I get here? The last thing I remembered was nothing. A blank slate. Panic gnawed at me, but survival instincts, buried deep, began to surface. I scanned the area. A handful of weather-beaten houses huddled together, paint peeling like sunburned skin. A couple of small shops, their windows boarded. A squat, concrete storage building stood sentinel on the opposite side of the island. And the dead. Everywhere, the dead. They shambled in small clusters, their groans carried on the wind. Some wore tattered fishing gear, others stained overalls. Their vacant eyes tracked me, their bodies twitching with a horrifying hunger. This wasn't just some nightmare. This was Project Zomboid. I stumbled to my feet, my head throbbing. A quick search of my pockets revealed nothing but a rusty pocket knife. Not much, but better than nothing. My first priority was shelter. The houses looked promising, but I needed to clear them first. The first house was small, a single-story dwelling with a faded blue door. I crept towards it, listening for the telltale moan of the undead. Silence. With a deep breath, I kicked the door open. Inside, a lone zombie, clad in a stained bathrobe, shuffled towards me. It was slow, clumsy. I lunged, burying the knife in its skull. It slumped to the floor, its unseeing eyes staring at the ceiling. I scavenged the house, finding a chipped ceramic bowl, a half-empty bottle of bleach, and a tattered map of the island. The map showed the layout, Fisherman's Rest. It read, a tragically ironic name. The storage building was marked as having generators and fuel, a beacon of hope in this desolate place. Over the next few days, I systematically cleared the houses, scavenging for anything useful. Canned food, bandages, a rusty axe. Each item was a victory against the encroaching despair. I barricaded the windows of the blue house with planks torn from a dilapidated shed, reinforcing the door with scavenged furniture. It wasn't perfect, but it was a haven. My home. The immediate need for shelter addressed, I turned to the next challenge, food and water. The canned goods wouldn't last forever. I remembered reading somewhere about trapping rabbits. After hours of searching, I found some wire fencing in the storage building, and fashioned crude snares, setting them in the undergrowth near the lake. Water was a more urgent concern. The lake was everywhere, but drinking it directly was a death sentence. I needed a way to purify it. The bleach was my temporary solution, but I needed something sustainable. I stumbled upon an old well in the backyard of one of the houses. It was overgrown with weeds and filled with debris, but it was a well. Days turned into weeks. I cleared the well, hauling buckets of muck and rotting leaves. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I reached the water table. The water was still murky, but after boiling it in the ceramic bowl, it was drinkable. My traps yielded a meager harvest of rabbits, providing a much-needed source of protein. I started a small garden near the house, planting seeds I found in a forgotten packet in one of the shops. Radishes and carrots, slow to grow, but a promise of future sustenance. The constant threat of the undead never faded. I honed my skills, learning to move silently, to anticipate their movements. The axe became an extension of my arm, a brutal tool for survival. I cleared the island slowly, methodically, reducing the zombie population one by one. The storage building remained my ultimate goal. The generators held the key to electricity, to preserving food, to powering lights that would push back the darkness. But it was heavily guarded, a gauntlet of the undead. I spent days planning my assault. I needed a distraction, a way to draw the zombies away from the building. I gathered all the spare wood I could find and built a makeshift bonfire on the far side of the island. As dusk settled, casting long, eerie shadows, I lit the pyre. The flames leapt into the sky, drawing the attention of every shuffling corpse for miles. With the bulk of the zombies distracted, I raced towards the storage building. The doors were locked, but I found a window slightly ajar. I pried it open with the axe and slipped inside. The building was dark and dusty, filled with shelves piled high with forgotten equipment. I found the generators, 2 large diesel-powered machines. They looked intact, but I needed fuel. I rummaged through the shelves, my heart pounding in my chest, and finally found it, several jerry cans of diesel fuel. It took hours, but I managed to get one of the generators running. The building shuddered to life, bathed in the harsh glow of the electric lights. I felt a surge of triumph, a tangible victory against the oblivion. With power restored, I could set up a refrigerator, preserving the food I had worked so hard to gather. I erected lights around my compound, making it a beacon of safety in the encroaching darkness. The well water was now pumped and purified, providing a constant, reliable source of water. Life on Fisherman's Rest was still a struggle, a constant battle against the undead, but it was no longer a desperate scramble for survival. I had built a home, a sanctuary in a world consumed by death. One day, I climbed to the highest point on the island, the roof of the storage building, and looked out across the lake. The mainland was a distant blur, a reminder of the world I had lost. But I wasn't lost anymore. I had found something here, on this abandoned island, something I hadn't known I possessed: resilience, a will to survive against all odds. I knew the fight was far from over. The zombies would continue to shamble, the world would continue to decay. But I was ready. I had a home, a garden, a reliable source of water and power. I had learned to live with the dead, to carve out a life in their domain. I was a survivor. And Fisherman's Rest was my kingdom. The salt spray still stung my face, but now it tasted like victory.